Two more people close to this family sat down with a detective in January of 2025, and what they said should have ended a year of public debate. It didn't. Almost nobody has covered it.
Two witnesses, one overlooked interview. In January of 2025, two people close to this family sat down with a police detective. What they said should have settled a year's worth of public argument. It didn't, and almost nobody has reported on it since. So here it is, laid out clearly. The two witnesses are Rebecca Lamb Weiss and her husband Jonathan Weiss, who goes by JW. Rebecca is Joni Lamb's daughter. JW works as a producer at Daystar and also handles the network's estate planning matters. Before going further, one correction needs to be made clear. JW Weiss has no connection to Doug Weiss. They are two entirely different men tied to this story in completely different ways, and that confusion has circulated online for months. It ends now. How the interviews came about. The timeline here matters. In November 2020, the daughter of Jonathan and Susie Lamb, referred to in this story as Baby Lamb, told her mother about an incident of abuse, describing it as being carried out by someone she called a boy taller than Daddy. Jonathan and Susie reported it to police that same day, but the following day, after speaking privately with her grandmother Joni, the girl stopped discussing what had happened. Without a child willing to talk, investigators had nothing to work with, and the case was closed. It stayed that way for more than 3 years. Then, in February 2024, Jonathan and Susie brought the full history to a family council. The 2020 disclosure, a 2021 incident at the Miramar Beach House, and a pattern of behavior from Josh Brown that they had come to view differently with time.
Rebecca and JW gave two police interviews to Colleyville detective Nick Garcia. The first was January 21st, 2025. The second was a week later, January 28th. Both were recorded.
They also revealed something new. They had just discovered that a 2021 forensic interview involving Josh, which Jonathan's late father Marcus had told him fully cleared him, had actually done nothing of the sort. The counselor present for that disclosure was legally obligated to report it, and did so to Texas Child Protective Services. CPS looped in Colleyville police and the case reopened. Detective Nick Garcia took over the investigation. He re-interviewed Susie and spoke with Denise Boggs, an unlicensed pastoral counselor, who had been present during the 2021 forensic interview. In July 2024, he asked Susie for help reaching Rebecca and JW. She told him she was no longer in contact with the couple, but suggested they might be willing to talk if he found them. Garcia heard nothing further until November 15th, when journalist Julie Roys contacted him about the case. After her reporting was published, additional people began reaching out to police, encouraging investigators to continue digging. On January 10, 2025, Garcia attempted to call the Weisses and even drove to their home, but got no answer. 5 days later, JW called him back. 6 days after that, the couple went to the police station in person for the first time.
They described behavior by Josh Brown, Rachel Lamb's husband, that JW said he personally witnessed and found alarming, though at the time he didn't call it criminal.
Two interviews, two very different tones. Rebecca and JW gave two separate recorded interviews to Detective Garcia, the first on January 21st, 2025, and the second a week later, on January 28th. Both interviews were obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request filed by Jonathan and Susie Lamb, and both were later published by the Roys Report. During the first interview, the couple came across as hesitant. JW described behavior from Josh Brown, Rachel Lamb's husband, that he said he'd personally witnessed and found troubling, though at the time he stopped short of calling it criminal. A Daystar attorney sat in on that interview alongside them. Something shifted before the second interview. In between the two sessions, Rebecca and JW spoke with Sylvia Torres Gonzalez, Joni Lamb's longtime housekeeper, and reread a letter JW had written back in 2021, the same year as the Miramar Beach incident, documenting concerns about Josh Brown, and at the time. By the second interview, their tone had changed noticeably. Rebecca told the detective that hearing Sylvia's account had confirmed a feeling she'd had all along. Sylvia had described seeing the child sent upstairs to change into a bathing suit and watching Josh Brown follow her up. That account matches what Sylvia would later tell police herself, on the record and under her own name.
Daystar's own attorney was in the room for that interview, sitting beside them. Then, something changed. Between the first interview and the second, Rebecca and JW did two things.
the same story covered in an earlier video. Here, though, it was reaching investigators months earlier, secondhand, through 2 additional named witnesses. JW told Garcia that Sylvia was hesitant to come forward on her own, fearing she'd lose her job. When the detective asked how to reach her, the tone in the room shifted again. Daystar's attorney, present for the interview, questioned why the couple had been talking to witnesses at all, and asked whether Joni was aware of what Sylvia had said. JW's response was direct. She wasn't, which was exactly why Sylvia was afraid to speak up. The other side of the story. As always, the other perspective belongs here too. Josh Brown has denied every allegation against him in his own recorded police interview, characterizing the accusations as stemming from a family power struggle, rather than any wrongdoing on his part. His complete denial, in his own words, was covered in an earlier video, and it remains part of this story every time it's told. A document still sealed, Garcia spent months trying to obtain the complete unredacted version of JW's 2021 letter. Colleyville police sought a warrant for it twice, and twice a judge declined to sign off, citing attorney-client privilege. The document that might resolve the most questions in this case remains one that no one outside a courtroom has been able to fully review. What actually matters here? Rebecca and J.W. Weiss weren't outsiders looking in. They were family, and they worked for Daystar. Coming forward cost them relationships with people they cared about, and they did it regardless. As Rebecca put it, their goal was to bring out the truth and see it prop. Early addressed, that's not just a headline moment. It was a decision made privately, then repeated on the record at a police station, with their names attached to it. Deuteronomy 19:15 states that a matter should be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. We're not the ones determining guilt here. We're not judge or jury, and no charges have been filed in this case. But when multiple people, independently and under their own names, describe the same events the same way, that's not rumor. That's a record building itself, one named witness at a time. Sources. This account draws on Julie Royce's original reporting at the Royce Report, exclusive police interview footage obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request filed by Jonathan and Susie Lamb, Colleyville Police Department case records, and Detective Nick Garcia's own notes. Every statement referenced here traces back to a named individual speaking on the record. Thank you for watching The Celebrity Vault.